So we have this live stream in an interesting day, New Year's Eve. A day which is dividing the year that just happened from the year that is coming. A new beginning, if you will. The subject of this stream is a recapitulation, summary of the last retreat, as I often do. Somehow trying to draw the most important points. And the last retreat was about purification. As a subject fitting the last day of the year. But before I proceed, make sure that you are grounded in yourself. Remember whether the subject is healing or purification or awakening of the heart. Pure subjectivity is always our foundation. This is our home. Without it, we have no home. We are homeless. We are dispersed, living in a netherland. So, give yourself a minute and settle down inside your inner home. Consciousness has to be clear. You need to be grounded in being. Or at least sufficiently settled in being. Then you may bring energy to your heart so that you experience your heart and being together. Now, purification. What is the difference between purification and healing? We could generally say that healing is happening in the body, purification is happening in the mind. Healing, we are healing our past, energetically and existentially, healing our past hurts and negativity, fear, and so forth that have been stored in the body energetically. But there's also a subtle memory of what caused accumulation of these negative residues, and that memory is linked to the mind, meaning there's a thought linked, or multiple thoughts. You could say that part of the mind from the past has entered the body, creating all those negative energetic knots that in turn affect our mind in the present. So it is of the past, purification is of the present. However, we could ask a question: if I experience emotional negativity or hurts, I have been hurt, confused in this or another way, in the present, does it still need healing or just purification? No, it still does need healing, but it's actually not in the present. You are healing something that is very close to the present, but has already receded into the past. So there also is a healing of something that is of negative experiences that occur in your present life, but that healing is of the immediate past, the past not so far away from the present. And purification is strictly in the present. And purification can actually support healing because it's targeting our relationship with negative emotional experiences. If you relate to these experiences from the place of impure mind, you actually create emotional wounds that then you have more hard time to heal. Also, purification is obviously assisting healing process, generally speaking, even of the issues from the remote past, because obviously you are in relationship with these issues from your mind. So purification is in the present and is in the mind, but there's also healing in the mind as well. So healing is in a body in general, meaning below your head, in the emotional centers, especially heart and solar plexus, and can encompass the whole body. But it also occurs in the brain itself, since brain obviously is in the body as well, it's part of the body. And this is where we have the most complex, developed nervous system. So obviously there are things to heal in the brain as well. There is a sadness in the head, there's depression in the head, there's a moodiness in the head, there are which are like psychological states, negative psychological states experienced in the head that actually need to be healed, among others. And that can go much deeper. And I will speak of it in the next retreat, since part of the next retreat will be devoted to healing. Purification, generally speaking, is a radical renunciation of any emotional reactivity or reactions in the mind. Negative reactions. We could say the reactions are generally unconscious and negative, while responding emotionally is neutral and generally positive. Even if you are theoretically healed, I don't know if we can speak of healing in the absolute terms, if there's such a thing as absolute in healing. But even if there is not, we should come to a place where we realize sort of a relative absolute healing. I can use this term. But even if we are healed, one can still generate negativity in the mind, because that is the nature of this reality, and that is the nature of ego. Ego has an agenda. Ego is, now I'm using the term ego in a positive way, by the way, as the human part, this human aspect of the person needed for our existence. Ego is making all kinds of transactions with this reality, mentally and emotionally, in order to survive physically and to arrive at emotional well-being, sense of satisfaction, fulfillment. So its basic needs are met. Since reality is not always allowing it to come to such fulfillment, so ego is bound to struggle at times. Relationship with the world, relationship with people can be disharmonious. Plus, ego can also create, based on these different conflicts, negative relationship with itself. That's why if we aspire to reach purity in the mind, because purification is about reaching purity in the mind, we need to be vigilant. And we need to be really conscious, really honest, really deeply introspective, really aware of what is happening in our mind, mentally and emotionally. So you need to observe yourself. I suggested in the last retreat to even have a diary of purification, such as every day writing down what is actually happening in our mind, because the negativity of the mind can have many levels. The gross ones are pretty obvious, but there are also many subtle ones which are not so obvious. And the problem is that ego can rationalize these negativities in all kinds of ways, not even refusing even to admit that it is generating negativity. Okay, there is a subconscious negativity, meaning that you are not even aware of generating it. And then when the ego becomes unconscious, it identifies with these subtle negativities, or even gross negativities, which are subconscious. And only after some time it comes to the place of lucidity, where it recognizes, hopefully it recognizes that it has indeed generated that negativity. So one has to be conscious of the subconscious layers of the mind, which basically means that the ego has to capture the subconscious arising of negativity immediately, or at least as soon as possible. And then there is a conscious negativity, where the ego is conscious of what it is doing. We actually experience conscious mind, right? and it agrees to generate this negativity. It feels entitled to generate this negativity. It even refuses to admit that it is negative. It thinks that what it is thinking or feeling emotionally is justified and right, correct. So even the conscious ego can get sucked into negativity, can lose itself, not losing itself in a way that it becomes subconscious, but losing its emotional and mental integrity. Negativity can be directed towards the world, negative thoughts about the world, negative thoughts about this reality in general, about this place in which we are living, about this universe, creation, and so forth, basically anything. Plus, of course, other people, because human beings are very social. They very much exist through others. They live through others. And there's always an exchange happening with others, and that exchange is not always positive or not always fulfilling. So that negativity can be directed toward others. Somebody hurts you, somebody offends you, so you generate negative thoughts about the other person. Negative thoughts also means negative emotions. And it can happen in a active interaction, or it can happen just in your mind, when you are remembering your connection with other people, or what has happened. And then negativity can be directed towards oneself. Negative thoughts about oneself. And these negative thoughts create negative emotional patterns, and they create towards oneself, and they create negative emotional states, negative psychological moods. So when you feel bad about yourself, for instance, you actually feel bad energetically. You begin to feel bad energetically as you are supporting the thoughts, or judging yourself, not feeling good about yourself because you received negative feedbacks from others, so you begin to question yourself, or you create negative judgments about yourself, sense of guilt and unworthiness. All of that is being created. And you need to capture it. You need to be aware of it. You basically need to be emotionally conscious in your mind. Very, very, very mindful. and your intention is to reach emotional transparency, and for that to be possible, you need to keep renouncing any negativity in the mind toward the others or towards yourself. And the negativity towards yourself can be very, very subtle as well, and there are also many layers. And then it hurts you, but then based on that negativity and trying somehow to save yourself from that negativity, you might actually start generating negativity towards others in order to discharge that negative energy. Renunciation of negativity is the key here of the process of purification. But most importantly, it is a journey into self-awareness. You need to actually enjoy that process as self-discovery. It's not just about reaching a goal of purified mind, but using this process for deepening your relationship with yourself and your own mind, and reaching deeper emotional awareness in the mind. If you experience negative emotion, it goes into your body, but it starts in the mind. So, in this process of purification, mind is your emphasis. One of the approaches is to counteract negativity through positive thinking, replacing negative emotions with positive emotions, which work to some extent, but often it doesn't work. You are basically repressing negativity through positivity. For instance, someone offends you or hurts you emotionally, and you try to create positive thoughts about that person, such as, I should be compassionate towards them, they are themselves suffering, or I love them. You are actually repressing your own pain. It's not real. It is not uncommon that people who somehow have positive mind, they are perceived as being generally positive emotionally, and they're always nice to others and so forth, they're actually repressing their negativity, and they're repressing their frustration, and they're actually emotionally dishonest. Fake. It's a fake positivity. So at this point I would not even speak about replacing, then about the positive. The positive will come later on, but first the negative has to be removed. Then when the negative is removed, the positive can be activated. Empathy. The first step is to reach emotional transparency. So this reactive mind is eliminated. And in this emotion transparency, we could say that you arrive at a type of no mind. Well, in Zen, no mind means consciousness or awareness beyond thoughts. It does not refer really to absence of thoughts, in fact not at all. But the no mind that I am proposing here is actually absence of thoughts, or minimum thoughts, minimum emotions, and they are being experienced very, very gently, transparently. So, cultivate that awareness, that mindfulness, that watchfulness of negativity in the mind, with the intention to renounce it. Negativity towards others, negativity towards yourself, which often are connected. If you do experience negativity, your relationship with that negativity is also important, because you can become negative about your own negativity, frustrated with your own negativity, and then internalize it, creating a toxicity in your own mind. Judging yourself for being negative, for instance, or not feeling good enough about yourself. That is obviously not what we want. We want to simply become aware in the deepest way possible in the mind, and cultivate renunciation of negativity, while being at the same time compassionate towards ourselves. So if you have negativity, embrace it within yourself, be compassionate towards yourself, because your negativity is not unique to you, it is universal for every human. Just people experience different versions of negativities, or they are more negative in some areas than others, but negativity is universal. So that process allows you to understand yourself emotionally in your mind, to deepen your awareness of yourself, and also to understand what it means to be human and how other people experience themselves. To have a negative emotion in your mind, it doesn't have to be like a concrete thought. Let's say you think about someone and you can think that person is this or that, negative way. You don't have to even go that far, it's just the fact that you think about that person and there's a negative feeling about that person in yourself. There's this negative reaction in yourself about that other person. So you might be able to renounce that concrete thought, negative thought about the other person, but it is more difficult to renounce that negative feeling, which is not yet dressed in a concrete thought. But that too need to be renounced. So there are all these layers of negativity you see, and you need to reach that no mind. Yes, zero emotional reactiveness in the mind. So before, let's say that you have a negative thought about other people, this thought needs to be renounced, and negative emotion behind the thought has to be renounced. And don't try to go to positive thinking yet, but first you need to establish emotional neutrality. Not love. You don't have to love other people or some people. You need to be neutral emotionally. Emotionally untouched. It's only when you are fully transparent and emotionally neutral, so then the next step eventually would be connecting to other people with positive thought and emotion, such as compassion, love, extending positive energy towards them. But first, emotional neutrality needs to be reached. That is the foundation. Because if it is not there, then trying to think positively is a lie. It is a case of repression of your negativity. So, as you can see, it is a complex subject, not like a super complex, but still to bring some kind of a conceptual structure here to all these layers. of the negativity in the mind, and how it can display itself is not that simple. We might we might do it in the future, but for now it's like I'm just feeling the subject, so to speak. I don't know what kind of examples to use. Let's say someone judges you in some ways. Obviously, it's not pleasant because we are all mirroring each other. So, and so when someone reflects you in a negative way, you see an unpleasant image of yourself in front of you, which does not mean it is true, but it's still unpleasant. So there is a negative feeling here. It might be not yet a concrete emotional reaction as such, but a negative feeling, perhaps feeling hurt or bad, unloved, rejected, and so on and so on. So it all becomes more concrete, you see. Eventually there's this concrete, like emotional blocks that are attached to that, that follow how you emotionally react to being, let's say, criticized or judged. So it's like an emotional cascade. And there are many things happening in the brain before it goes to your heart, for instance, or to your solar plexus. There are many things happening in the brain. There's a fear in the brain. There is anxiety in the brain. So many things are happening. And the thing is it's chemical. It's a chemical process. And many hormones. Stress hormones being like a cascade of the stress hormones from the brain into your body, but before that cascade happens, you need to stop. You need to become one with that original emotion, which is this moment when somebody is criticizing you, it feels bad, right? And it's not yet concrete, it's not this or that, it's just bad. Like someone, let's say, slaps you, you feel bad, right? So somebody judges you or criticizes you, and whether it's justified or not, irrespectively of that, it's like you are being slapped. Yeah. So, and if you become one with this original feeling bad, fully one, and somehow dissolve it in its root, and that root is in the ego itself, that self-image in the ego. You dissolve it in its root. the space opens up. And you can relate to the situation emotionally, objectively. From the place of being emotionally neutral, because only then you can relate objectively. Purification of the mind is an important subject, an important practice, because we speak about love, or even experiencing pure love in the head, in consciousness. You can experience pure love in consciousness while simultaneously having mental negativity, but that pure love cannot flow, it cannot extend itself, and it cannot emanate. It is being obscured and obstructed. That's why purification is necessary for that love, for our consciousness to become truly the channel of pure love, of the divine into the world. Yes. So I think I have addressed the most important points. As it is New Year coming, we should all make a resolution. You can write it on paper if you like. It makes things more concrete. It makes your thoughts more concrete. A resolution, what it is that you would like to achieve in your evolution in the coming year, within reason, somehow feeling your capacity, your potential, as where you are now. What do you want to achieve in your evolution? What do you want to achieve in your spiritual growth in the coming year? And also, what kind of a life you want to manifest outside of yourself? What kind of things you wish to happen to you in the outer world? That too. So, make that resolution very clear. Don't exaggerate with your expectations, but visualize what it is that you truly want to become in the coming year. Because you create yourself through your evolution and through your existence in the world. You create yourself. what kind of a creation you want to become. And ask the divine to be with you, be behind you, support you in each step of your journey in this coming year. Express your intention clearly to the divine. The divine being the deepest God. God who has many arms, many extensions, but is at the root of everything. The primordial God, the divine, the original God, the one who at the very beginning exhaled the whole of creation, and with this out breath uttered that it is I, that is the original God, that is the divine. So we pray for that. All the blessings for you in the coming year.